AITA for refusing to punish my son? For the past 14 years, I've been happily married to a woman from the Philippines, with whom I have 2 children. Ever since I got married, my sister Juliet and her husband Mike have been calling my wife a mail-order bride, ex-slave, or concubine. For this reason, I'm generally no contact with Juliet and Mike, seeing them at family events but trying to avoid interacting with them. My younger sister got married last week, and during the ceremony the groom, Robert, was joking with Mike and Juliet about how I was a slaveholder, and all that idiocy. I talked to Robert later and admitted that he was totally going along with it, not just passively listening to what Juliet and Mike were saying. My 11-year-old son overheard it, and, as you could imagine, wasn't happy to hear his father accused of enslaving his mother. So he took the figurines off the wedding cake and threw them in the toilet. He did this in front of everybody and then flipped off the bride and groom. Now everyone's asking me how I'm going to punish my son. I told them I don't intend to punish him at all. Yeah, he could have handled it better, and I advised him that next time he should just ask to leave. But I'm not going to punish him. When adults invite a child to their wedding, insult said child, and are too stupid to make sure the child isn't earshot, they shouldn't be surprised when said child behaves childishly in response to the insult. I figure that since he's only 11, I'll let him get away with it this time. If he's still doing stuff like this at 17, there will be major consequences. AITA for threatening to make my in-laws homeless if they cannot understand what working from home means. I, F38, am the primary breadwinner for my household. My husband, 42, is semi-retired due to an injury at work. He is a great husband and has taken over all the housework that needs to be done during the day. We share all the duties when I'm not working. Recently, his sister, her husband, and their twin kids lost their home. We have a rental suite in our basement that we just use as a family area, so we agreed to let them live there. Because I'm paranoid, I had them sign a lease. A few days ago, my husband had an opportunity to do some consulting at his old work. He loves doing it because it gets him out of the house and he gets to see his old coworkers and friends. It was short notice, so we hadn't arranged babysitting. We asked his sister to watch our youngest for the day so he could go work, and she agreed. She then delegated the task to her 13-year-old son. Then she had her nap. The kid didn't want to disturb his mom during her nap, so he banged on my door while I was working to change a diaper. Fair enough, if I were a 13-year-old boy, I might not feel comfortable changing a baby girl. I asked where his mom was, and he said she was napping. I woke her up and told her Thatch had agreed to watch her niece and to do so. I waited for my husband to get home and we discussed his family. We decided together that they needed to start paying the amount on the lease, leave, or start helping around the house. We took all the kids over to my mill's house, then we sat them down and had a talk. We gave them fair options. They said I was an AmItheAsshole for tricking them into signing a lease agreement and then not collecting it so I could evict them. I said that wasn't the only choice. I said that she was the one who chose to lay of a responsibility on a child. I said that I was basically the one supporting her, and if she couldn't help, then she had to give me money or leave. Some further information: neither her nor her husband have jobs right now. They are buying groceries with his unemployment benefits. I set up the lease because of horror stories I have heard about people claiming to be tenants. AITA for telling my late sister's husband that his daughter is not getting any of my sister's dresses. My sister died 17 years ago. She left behind a 4-month-old daughter, now 17, and a 5-year-old son, now 22. My sister was diagnosed with cancer 8 months into her pregnancy, and she was aware it was terminal right away. After my niece was born, she asked me if I would keep her dresses. She had a collection of very nice dresses she had accumulated because she worked for a fashion magazine and got discounts and freebies sometimes, and her favorite jewelry for her kids. She said maybe her daughter wouldn't want the clothes, but if she did, they would be with me. She told me she knew her husband loved her, but she knew he would remarry and that lines can be blurred, and she really didn't want any of his future children or his future wife laying claim to her possessions. She wanted them for her children. She had a necklace that she knew her son would like one day, and he asked for it when he was 15 and still wears it today. I said of course. Her husband did remarry. About a year after my sister died, he told our family he had gotten another woman pregnant, and then a couple of months later announced they were to marry. Things were awkward for a few years. He was still part of our lives, but we had not been close when my sister was alive, and his wife was holding some hard feelings toward him and us. Their older daughter is 14 and they have a 9-year-old daughter together as well. The 14-year-old has a school dance coming up and wanted to wear one of my sister's dresses because she saw a photo of my sister wearing one and heard from her dad that I had them. He told me she wanted a dress and wanted me to send it over with my niece for his daughter. I refused to send it and he responded by asking my nephew. Nephew said his half-sister had no business having anything to do with one of his mom's dresses. My niece wasn't angry like my nephew was, but she found the idea weird. My sister's husband told me it wasn't fair to deny the girl the dress because she's not my sister's daughter and that she is part of the family and it shouldn't be a big deal. I told him I didn't feel comfortable giving it and was going to do what my sister wanted. He suggested she could choose another dress from the collection and I said she was not getting any of the dresses. He said it should not be depriving his daughter and she's being treated unfairly. I told him those dresses were nothing to do with her. They are for my sister's children. He called me pathetic. AITA. ETA. Just a quick edit to say I have likely gotten his other kids' ages wrong. The older one is more likely 15 now and I think I might have aged up the younger one. I'm not close to these kids, don't spend time with them or anything really. But the timeline was about a year after my sister died. He told us he had gotten another woman pregnant. The older of his 2 girls with wife number 2 is that child. Second one was born a few years after. They were married a few months into her first pregnancy. Sorry for that confusion. My niece only recently turned 17, so doing actual math in my head 15 is more likely for the first child with his second wife. Sorry for that confusion. AITA for not letting my nephew bring his service dog to my wedding? I, 27F, am getting married in a few months to my fiance, 28M. We have been planning our dream wedding for over a year, and everything is finally falling into place. However, there is one issue that has been causing quite a bit of controversy in our family. My nephew, 18M, James, has a service dog, Max, for his anxiety and panic attacks. Max is a well-trained and well-behaved dog, and he has been a great help to James over the years. However, I am severely allergic to dogs, to the point where I could have a severe reaction if I am around them for an extended period of time. This is something my family is well aware of. When we sent out the invitations for our wedding, we made it clear that there would be a strict no pets policy, due to my allergies. James and his parents approached us and asked if Max could be an exception, as he is a service dog and not just a pet. They assured us that Max would be on his best behavior and that he would not cause any problems. As much as I understand the importance of Max to James, I had to say no. My wedding day is supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, and I do not want to risk having a severe allergic reaction during the ceremony or reception. I explained this to James and his parents, and first offered to help find alternative accommodations for Max during the wedding. However, my decision has caused a lot of controversy in the family. Some of my relatives believe that I am being selfish and inconsiderate, while others understand my point of view and support my decision. James is understandably upset, and first feel terrible about the situation. So, AITA for not allowing my nephew to bring his service dog to my wedding? AITA for repurposing my late wife's gown for my daughter? This is going to be a little long, please bear with me. I, M38, lost my wife, F35, in April 2022 during labor. She had a premature delivery that led to complications and eventually, she passed away an hour after giving birth to our daughter. My daughter too had resulting complications which meant she had to be kept in a NICU for the first 2 months of her life. Needless to be said, the entire ordeal was hard on us, especially her mother, who was a single mom to her only child. Fortunately, my daughter's condition grew better after those initial 2 months, and is as lively and joyful as any other 1-year-old. It was my baby's first birthday a few days ago. It was bittersweet. I wished my wife could have been here to see our baby girl on her first milestone. I wanted to honor my wife's memory and also make my daughter feel the presence of her mother on her special day. My wife used to have a talent for stitching, and she taught me a lot of it too. My wife had worn a beautiful dark green gown for her maternity shoots. She looked absolutely radiant in it that day, but after that she never wore it again. She said she wanted to see my daughter wear it one day. The gown was left forgotten there with her entire pile of clothes after her death. I didn't want to go through her stuff since it would have been too much for me. Her words, the grief of knowing that my wife never got to know her daughter and my daughter's birthday, were what motivated me to get up one day, go through her closet and cut up that green gown into a tiny frock for my daughter. and my daughter looked absolutely adorable in it. That color suits my daughter just as it did to my wife. I dressed up my daughter in the gown for the birthday party. My mill saw her in it and immediately knew that this was that dress. She pulled me aside, in tears, and asked me why I would destroy her daughter's dress. I told her what my wife had said, that this was her wish too. She said that my wife would have meant that for when my daughter was old enough to fit into the gown. Thatch could have also said that assuming she would be alive to see her in it, and that her death negates what she said. Her dress held a memory of my wife. That no longer existed now because of what I did. I told her that the dress had been lying forgotten in the closet along with all of her other belongings. All her other special dresses are still there, her wedding gown, her baby shower dress, everything was still intact and perfectly preserved in her closet. It was just this one dress that I used. The dress she specifically mentioned she wanted our daughter to wear one day. I honored her wishes, a little earlier than intended. The argument escalated, with other people joining in and taking sides. Soon, my mill left, along with most of the guests. She isn't replying to my calls. All our relatives have mixed opinions about this. I am devastated. All I wanted to do was make this birthday extra special for my daughter. Instead, her entire day ended in tears. AITA?